We're now reaching the end of the fourth year of the Worlds of Speculative Fiction series. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a talk series that I do here locally, partnering with the Brookfield Public Library in the Greater Milwaukee area. And each month I take an author and some set of their works that have a coherent narrative universe, and I come in and give a little bit of background on them, talk about their world building, and then bring up some philosophical themes. Over the years, we've actually gotten quite a few regulars who now very much enjoy coming in and reading and talking about these things. Sometimes they actually know a little bit more than I do. And we're heading into year 5. So we've also got a tradition where I get suggestions from all of you out there in the ether, on the internet, worldwide, about who we ought to do next. So that's what this video is about, and you will be able to comment and make some suggestions about who we ought to do. Before you launch into that, I want to tell you about who we did this last year and who we've done in the years past, and then who we already have coming up for 2020, so that you're not just, throwing spitballs out there that have already gone stale, you might say. All right, so let's talk about who we actually have lined up this coming year. I have authors all the way from January to September, so that's 9, and I'm looking for 3 more slots to be filled. 2 of the ones that I have are actually suggestions that came to me from some of the regulars who attend the series here locally, and then 3 will be ones that you get to suggest and then ultimately vote on. So, what are they? In January, we're doing Mary Shelley. We'll be looking at Frankenstein and The Last Man. I didn't get to do Shelley this last year, so this is sort of a repeat. In February, we're doing China Mielville's Boss Log novel, so that's Perdido Street Station, The Scar, and Iron Council. In March, we'll be doing Stephen Donaldson's Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. We're going to look at the first 3 books, although I will have by that time read all of the rest of them as well. That's quite an investment in a series. Then we do Liu Cixin's Remembrance of Earth's Past series, The Three-Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and Death's End. In May, we're going to do Veronica Roth's Carve the Mark universe, so the Carve the Mark book, Fates Divide, and then some of the stories from the end of The End and Other Beginnings. You may remember I did a conversation with Veronica Roth here in Milwaukee about her new book, The End and the Other Beginnings, just about a month and a half ago. So I actually asked her, well, should we do it on Divergent and that universe, or should we do it on Carve the Mark? And she said, Carve the Mark is probably narratively richer, and that was my intuition already, so I took that confirmation and ran with it. Then in June, we're going to be talking about somebody from the Milwaukee area who went by the moniker Cordwainer Smith. We'll be looking at his Instrumentality of Humanity universe, which includes a lot of great short stories, one of which I read when I was very young and fell in love with then. Then in July, we'll be, since it's quite timely, looking at Margaret Atwood's Gilead novels. So that's the long ago written Handmaid's Tale, and then her recent book, The Testaments. In August, great suggestion from one of the regular attendees, Larry Niven's Ringworld Series. There's 4 books in that series, all of which are, Ringworld this, Ringworld that. And then in September, we're going to be looking at Marion Zimmer Bradley's Darkover series. There are a plethora of books in that series, so I picked Storm Queen, Hawk Mistress, Two to Conquer, and The Heirs of Hammerfell because it's right there in the middle of the Warring Nations period of her narrative arc and universe and timeline. So there's 3 spots left over, and you're shortly going to get to make some suggestions about those. But first, we need to talk very briefly about all the other authors that we've covered already in this. So I'm just going to give you the list. Here's the authors that we've already done, so don't suggest these because we've already done them. Edgar Allan Poe, G.K. Chesterton, Lewis Carroll, Tanith Lee, Gordon Dixon, August Derleth, Carl Edward Wagner, Aldous Huxley, Bram Stoker, and R. Scott Bakker. The others that we discussed in previous years would include J.R.R. Tolkien, A. Van Vogt, C.S. Lewis, Isaac Asimov, Frank Herbert, Roger Zelazny, Ursula K. Leguin, Michael Moorcock, Philip K. Dick, Mervyn Peake, George R.R. Martin, Philip Jose Farmer, Madeline L'Engle, Douglas Adams, Anne McCaffrey, Orson Scott Card, Ian Banks, H.P. Lovecraft, William Gibson, C.L. Moore, Octavia Butler, Jorge Luis Borges, Fritz Lieber, Robert Heinlein, L. Sprague de Camp, Andre Norton, Arthur Clarke, Robert Howard, Gene Wolfe, C.J. Chera, and Jack Vance. So those are the ones that we're not going to revisit. And I'm going to put a list of all of this within the video description. So just click on the read more, and you can see the whole list. I am, however, looking for suggestions. What I'm going to do is take the suggestions that people leave as comments on this video or on my social media in the post specifically about this, and I will take the top, say, 6 or 7 suggested people. So we're looking for those who get suggested more than once by more than one person, right? And don't try to game the thing, creating a whole bunch of fake personas to do this. But we're going to take the top 6 or 7, and then we'll have a vote in, say, about a week or so from now. And then we'll have the lineup for the final 3 thinkers for October, November, December of the 2020 Year 5 of the Worlds of Speculative Fiction series. So if there's an author that isn't on that list of people that we've already covered or people that we're already going to cover, and they have a narrative universe, not just one book, but spread out across, say, a couple stories and a coherent place, doesn't even have to be necessarily coherent characters, but a coherent place in which it's set, that's the sort of thing that we're looking for. Speculative fiction. So, we're not looking for realistic fiction. We're looking for all the different genres that fall under that, like fantasy, horror, sci-fi, alternate history, utopian, dystopian literature. You can look up what speculative fiction is. There's a lot of discussion about that. So I hope that you'll get in on this and give me some good suggestions, and that you'll also join in on the big vote when we do that.